Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sarah, and today I'm gonna be joined by a special guest, my brother Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Today we saw Justice League, and I am so excited to share with you guys. It was a great movie. What is your initial reaction, Joey?
It was a lot of fun. It was definitely entertaining, and it kept you engaged the entire way through.
Yeah, for sure. And going into it, my expectations were a little bit guarded because I had heard all these things about how, Zack Snyder, the Joss Whedon had to come in and help save the project, and the studio executive had a mandate about how long the movie could be, so it had to be an hour and 59 minutes and stuff. And obviously they had to cut some things out, so I kind of was taking the movie with a grain of salt because of that. So right now we're going to talk about the non-spoilers, just like the general feel of the film, and not going to spoil anything. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about those spoilers. All right, so what did you think of Batman in this?
Well, I think he kind of evolved. You definitely see that he had remorse and he had guilt just from the previous film, Batman vs Superman. So he kind of matured a little bit, but it's almost like he didn't want to have the role of leader, So, but it was really interesting to see how
reluctant leader.
Yeah, how his kind of character evolved into something different. But it was good.
Yeah, I thought so too. And it's funny because I haven't seen Batman vs. Superman in so long. I only saw it once. And so I remembered most of the film except for the ending. And I was like, Superman's dead? Like, what? So that's not a spoiler. It was in the last movie. So I was a little confused. But then I was like, oh yeah, my favorite part of the movie was probably Wonder Woman. I love her character. I think she did a really good job and everything. And I was a little worried because I'd heard, I heard that it wasn't perfect. I thought that she was the heart of the team.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. She definitely conveyed that to Batman, with interactions and everything. She definitely wanted to lead the team after the kind of the final battles, everything going on. Yeah, she definitely conveyed that she's the heart and soul of the Justice League. For
sure, yeah. So, what about the three characters that were introduced? We got Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash. And The Flash, of course, he has his own really successful, popular TV show, but it's not the same actor. And I was a little worried about that going in, and I was thinking, am I going to like this Flash? Is he going to be lame, or is he going to be weird or whatever? How would you compare the two Flashes, and which one do you like better?
Yeah, this Flash guy, he was witty. He definitely had a good sense of humor. They really didn't go too much into the backstory. They kind of talked about, just like the TV show talked about, his father being in prison and the death of his mother. So they kind of went into that a little bit. I think both Barrys, both TV show and movie, they both have good personalities.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think the TV show one definitely has a more heart, but because more things are developed. But this Barry, he's funny, and he, for the amount of time that they had, he has a great sense of humor.
I thought so too. He didn't have as much weight because they didn't have as much time with him, but he definitely had some cool action scenes, and he provided comic relief, and I thought he was pretty good. So moving on to Aquaman, I didn't really like Aquaman. I didn't really understand him. They rushed his origin story, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Just they couldn't go into Atlantis. They couldn't really go into where he comes from, how he became who he was.
I mean, they kind of briefly talked about it. It was just in passing, and it was like, what did they say? Oh, okay, And I think out of all of them, he was the least developed character.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Cyborg, and I actually liked him. His name's Victor, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he definitely gave the whole team that kind of technology basis, and
Mhm.
you know the whole finding the weapon and different things that they needed to do in the film. He almost partnered with Batman to kind of get the things done that they needed to with the different gadgets and things. So that was a cool part of the film.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, and I liked the aspect of him accepting his new body and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that they put him in the movie, or they kind of used him as like a silver bullet to solve problems that they couldn't solve?
I think so. I think they kind of figure out, okay, Batman's capabilities only go so far, and if we're going to develop this even more, it's got to be it's got to.
The pacing of the movie was fast. It was like, you know, um, boom, 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 boom. There wasn't really any lagging points. I thought it wasn't like action nonstop, but it just was fast. What do you think?
Yeah, just they kind of they try to pick it up right after Batman vs Superman. They try to swing right into it with Superman's death, and um, there's not much time to kind of explain each new team member, not only their origin story, but you know why they even want to do it, and
Yeah, what are they feeling? I thought, especially for the Flash, like I thought he wasn't like scared enough.
hmm
You know?
yeah, he just kind of got rushed into the team, and things happened, but it didn't feel as natural, like as other Avenger kind of movies where things kind of get together slowly.
Are you gonna get those Marvel DC fans? Arguing in the comments. Okay. What else?
Well, the enemy, I think, is another thing.
Yeah, the enemy. Without giving away plot points, I think we'll both agree that the enemy was too weak, and he didn't have time for his character to develop, and he didn't have time for just I guess weight. He didn't have enough weight to his character. It wasn't the stakes. I mean, obviously the stakes are always like, oh, the world's gonna end,
Right.
but you still have to feel it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Same, without giving anything away with it, but just it. It was almost like they had to create a character or create an enemy that would somehow, unite these other team members immediately so that they would face him. Um, but once again, that pacing, it was kind of hard to like connect with that enemy.
It felt like there was things missing, and I don't know if there's gonna be a director's cut or extended version or whatever, but there might be more footage of him or more backstory of him. My least favorite part of the movie was the sound design, and it actually grated my ears. Like there's these enemies, and they have like what would you call them, like minions, or
Yeah,
like they made this sound and it was terrible. And I've actually heard in other movies before, but I thought it was really odd. It was like it kind of took me out of the movie sometimes because it would be not that sound in particular, but just the sound design in general with the sound effects and everything. I think they kind of overdid some sword sounds, and it was really harsh on the ears, and stuff like that. And I don't know how much of it has to do with the theater that we were at. What do you think?
I think it just, I don't know if it was just kind of whether it was sound effects or it just didn't, there wasn't a good mix to it. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now we're going to get into the spoiler part of this review. So,
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert, if you want to turn off the review now, do you want to give a grade before we give the spoiler?
Overall grade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do alphabet.
Okay.
I'm going to give this movie a B.
Yeah, I was gonna say B minus or so.
Okay. Okay, so what's the biggest surprise that you think happened in this film?
I think how Superman came back to life, how he became as soon as C-Chart, came back to life. There was this moment of kind of evil, or this moment of
Yeah, that was awesome.
he was not on their side.
I heard vaguely that was in the comics, and it's something that's really cool. I think it's one of the best moments with him in the film, and it's like the people. I mean, all of the rest of the Justice League are trying to restrain him or contain him or whatever, but they can't because he's so powerful.
Yeah. No, it just shows his amazing strength, but also that it takes the entire team to match his level.
And that thing with the Flash.
Yeah, just that moment with the Flash, and just that the entire audience kind of oohed and awed and kind of cheered, and the Superman versus the Flash, the Flash, the first time someone matched him at his speed.
It literally tripped him up.
Yeah.
But so that was a really cool part. I really enjoyed Diana's character's journey, and I thought that Bruce Wayne was kind of pushing her and trying to get her to come to terms with the fact that she's been cut off from society for the last 100 years, and she hasn't really been obviously she hasn't been a known superhero. She's been in the shadows and stuff. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they kind of, that was actually a big conflict moment between her and Bruce. It was just well, you had your opportunity to lead, and yet you chose not to. You chose to kind of swallow in grief, and just now you're going to come back out. So, but with that push, she really said, "Okay, I'm going to lead now."
Well, what did you think about how Batman gathered everybody? I mean, he starts off out the film, and he's looking for a team, to come together, and he's the one that kind of recruits people, and with the help of Diana, they kind of help. They actually already know who they're going to pick, but it's just a matter of convincing them and finding them. What did you think about that part of the film?
I think it was okay. I think
it wasn't the strongest.
It wasn't. No, other recruiting, type of super teams, that there's almost more conflict, and it was especially with Batman and Aquaman. Aquaman just blew him off, whatever, and it wasn't until the enemy Steppenwolf actually came in that they just sort of started to mesh and become a team, and it wasn't really okay, I'm joining you.
Yeah, especially for that character. I really enjoyed the part with the Themyscira and the Amazons and stuff. Yeah. I had heard going into this movie that Zack Snyder changed some of the costumes, and it wasn't noticeable. There was maybe a few that were changed, but they still had full armor on when they were battling, so it didn't bother me. I did like the fact that they were included in this. So why do you think that the villain Steppenwolf or whatever wasn't strong? I think the main thing is that his backstory, you didn't really know why he was there. You kind of knew, but there's some things he said about the mother. I was so confused.
It was kind of there were some missing links between it all. With the Wonder Woman movie, you have Ares, this kind of goddess, god of death, and now you have Steppenwolf, kind of he's almost summoning this army, and
and apparently he came from a planet that was really bad. Yeah. And then he went to conquer and stuff, and he was defeated 5,000 years ago and stuff like that. But do you remember why he came back, or how he came back?
I don't remember, actually.
Oh, I know. It was whenever mankind becomes dark again.
Right. Yeah, whenever the hope is kind of drawn out, and Superman's death kind of spurred that on. I guess the hopelessness and the fear.
Yeah.
That was a good point. I think the Steppenwolf character though, it's like you just kind of were left with trying to put the pieces together of um, why this enemy actually is a big threat. You know.
He was kind of like a shallow, like a hollow enemy.
Yeah.
Like it could have been any other person with a big axe, that was like super powerful. One of my favorite parts of the movie was whenever there's the evil Superman. Well, he's like, doesn't realize who he is and stuff. And Batman says, okay, Alfred, bring out the big guns. Like it was his backup plan. And tell him what the big guns were.
Lois Lane coming out of a car.
Lois Lane, that emotional part, that human love quality to try to get him to like calm down, and it actually worked. So, yeah.
Very, very similar to a Hulk and a Agent Romanoff kind of thing,
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's like, I think Bruce knew nothing. If he would have turned, there was no contingency to try to calm him down. It would have had to been Lois. That was the one thing that Clark really held on to was Lois. So
yeah, for sure. The battles in this movie were pretty good. There was kind of like the typical setup where the team comes together, then they like face the main villain, and then they sort of like part ways, but they don't. That like neither one wins,
Yeah.
And then they kind of like build, back up, and then they meet again at the end. But I thought the battles were pretty good. What was your favorite like action-y part?
Probably whenever Superman started getting in the mix. Actually, I mean,
Yeah.
he not only tipped the scale over as far as okay, now
You're a fan, right?
I'm a Superman fan. Yeah. of now that they're in more control, the Justice League is, but also, I mean, he showed different abilities that we haven't really seen before. We rarely have seen the Frost breath, that was in this movie. And
Yeah, no, I was thinking I haven't seen that since like Smallville or something.
yeah, I don't think that's, from what I remember, I don't think that's in the Man of Steel movie or not. But just that moment of like something new, besides the typical strength and brute force. That was kind of a climactic moment for Steppenwolf's axe being crushed.
Yeah, definitely. That was the turning point. It was, I really liked how he was defeated ultimately with his own army.
Yeah. Just kind of at the very moment, his fear started to rise because he started to realize, hey, the Justice League actually can defeat me, and then his army turned on himself. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Is there any parts that you didn't like of the movie?
I didn't really like some of the backstory of just the connections between of Batman and of Wonder Woman. Some of the connections just kind of didn't really make sense.
You mean like how Alfred was like teasing him and stuff?
Yeah, like there was some things that you just were left there to kind of guess, and but also just kind of the some of the parts were slow, with Lois and Martha Kent, and you just kind of like, okay, well, let's kind of. I'd rather them spend more time on the origins on the other team members than try to connect almost the bridge between Superman's death. I'd rather, hey, let's get more of that so that you have more depth to the team. What was kind of the most confusing moment?
The most confusing moment was when I forgot that Superman was dead. At the very beginning, I was like,
"Oh yeah,
what happened?" It really did take me like a few minutes. I was like, "Okay, I'm so confused. Like he's dead," and then I feel like I'm a totally bad movie fan because, I guess Batman versus Superman was not my favorite film, so I didn't rewatch it a lot. And so I forgot. Like I never do that, but yeah, That was the most confusing part for me.
Why do you think critics didn't or maybe won't like this as much as other films?
I think that they're going into it expecting a certain tone, because DC has established itself with being really dark, with the Dark Knight series, and then some of the other films, more light tone, and it was really fast, and it was fast paced and everything, and it had a lot of jokes in it, and that can kind of be like a hard 180 for some DC fans, and even movie critics who go into it expecting a certain thing and whatever. Also, I think that they will be paying really close attention to like the pacing and the editing and stuff that this movie is kind of weak on.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
so overall, I mean, I think this movie was pretty good, and I'm really glad I got to hang out with you and go to it and go to the movie with you and everything. It was really fun. So. If you haven't seen Justice League yet, please check it out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any video suggestions, comment below. All right. Bye-bye for now.